Hello everyone, I'm Jarrell from Sungrand. I developed the Silver Falls games. I just wanted to check in and say hello and happy Halloween. Things have been a bit quiet on social media over the past week or two as I've picked up a bug and I've just been trying to get over that. So I wanted to thank everyone for all of your support, for supporting the Silver Falls games, for picking up Ghoul Busters and Guardians and Metal Exterminators, and for everyone who's new to the series, thanks very much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy the other Silver Falls titles as well. I really genuinely appreciate all of your support. So for Halloween, I just wanted to discuss a topic that's something that I put a lot of thought into, and I try to keep in the back of my, well, not in the back of my mind, but I always try and keep it in my mind when it comes to horror. So when you're writing horror, creating a horror game, and that is the concept of intentional conflict. And what I mean by that is, for me, I find that my favorite horror stories in media, so be it horror films or horror video games, my favorite horror stories and setups for horror involve accidental conflict. And that is where the protagonists have an objective, and they are trying to accomplish this objective, and horror is thrust upon them, and they have no control over that, and they have to find some way to escape the horror. The opposite of that would be intentional conflict. And intentional conflict is where the protagonists actively set out to engage the horror, and that is a setup that I don't really enjoy. I can enjoy it, but as a setup, I don't like that as a setup, because I find that it does not create effective horror. It does not lend itself well to good horror situations. It lends itself more to action setups. So say, for example, the first Resident Evil, I find that setup is fantastic because it is unintentional conflict. The protagonists of the first Resident Evil game don't set out to fight zombies. They set out to find their missing Alpha team that's gone missing in the mountains. So their objective is something that's quite mundane and ordinary. They don't set out to fight monsters. Now, if you look at something like Resident Evil 5, Chris Redfield's primary objective is to go and punch some things, punch some monsters and zombies. And to an extent, Resident Evil 4 as well, Leon sets out, he doesn't expect there to be Ganados, but he's still looking for troubles. That's his intentional conflict. Chris Redfield is looking for conflict, and in Resident Evil 6, those characters are all looking for trouble. They're all going out and they're looking to punch some zombies. So for me, that setup is not very exciting from a horror standpoint, because these characters are now going out of their way and their intention is to engage with the horror. And logically, the only thing that they can do in that situation is to be victorious and to beat up some ghouls. So for a horror setup, I find that's not very effective, and it doesn't lend itself well to a good horror story. It lends itself more to an action story. I suppose a prime example of why, in general, the setup for Silver Falls games works so well is because there are no characters in, I meant to say Silent Hill. Why the setup for Silent Hill games is generally so effective, especially in the early titles, is that these characters don't set out to engage monsters. They all have something happening in their lives, and horror is thrust upon them. So that is something that I keep in mind when I'm writing Silver Falls stories, especially as we have characters like Bull Brandish who have experience with these things in Silver Falls, is that it's important that I write stories where these characters are not going out of their way to try to engage horror, because it's not scary. Anyway, my dogs are yapping. It's happy Halloween time, so take care everyone, take care of yourselves, happy Halloween, and I'll check in again with you soon. See you.